Take a break from your busy schedule and join Harold Sala for Guidelines, a 5-minute commentary on living.
If you have the opportunity to visit Israel, I could wish nothing more exciting and fulfilling than to visit a little corner of the world where so much biblical history has taken place, the Jordan Valley. Jerusalem is 2,700 feet above sea level, and the Dead Sea is 1,200 feet below sea level. This means that in a matter of only a few hours, you would descend going down a seismic fault. On your way to the Dead Sea, on your right, you will see a series of caves caused by erosion, passing the very caves where thousands of manuscripts were once hidden from the 1st century A.D. to 1947, when Muhammad Abdib, an illiterate Arab who along with his brother found them and eventually bartered them for provisions in Bethlehem, where a merchant who went by the name of Kondo purchased them. A fascinating story in itself. A short distance from the trove of caves known as the Dead Sea Caves, you will see on your right a turnoff to a nature reserve where 4 springs come together, forming one of the most refreshing and historic sites in Israel, Ein Gedi. There, some 3,000 years ago, a drama took place that the world has never stopped talking about. The principal players were Saul, then the king of ancient Israel, and a young man, probably in his late 20s, who had been anointed by the prophet Samuel to be the next king in Israel, known the world over as David, the son of Jesse. Saul had no thoughts of turning the kingdom over to David, and did everything in his means to take his life. Yet David esteemed him as the Lord's anointed and refused to harm him. David, however, had his chance. While some followed David, others were indifferent to him. So David was never sure, however, whether someone was a friend or an enemy. He knew, however, that Jonathan, the king's son, was committed to him, and the 2 men loved each other as brothers. Understanding that Saul was searching for him, David took refuge in the cave of Ein Gedi, which provided excellent protection for a fugitive. In the area there were, and still are, hundreds of caves, the result of erosion over the centuries. However, by chance, David and Saul found themselves in the same cave unexpectedly. David was deep inside the cave when Saul, searching for David, actually came into this very cave. David, however, quietly slipped by Saul in the darkness, and seeing Saul's outer garment, cut a piece from it. Then David called out Saul's name. Saul recognized the voice of David. Then Saul realized David could have killed him as easily as he cut off a piece of his outer garment. David could have killed Saul, yet he refused to take the kingdom in this manner. On another occasion, David and his right-hand man Abishai stole into Saul's camp and took the king's spear and water. It was all David could do to keep Abishai from killing the king, but David knew God had a different plan, and he refused to take Saul's life. David's difficulties didn't end with his encounter. Yet David's respect for the laws of Moses and his reverence for the office would not allow him to take Saul's life. When he was finally made king, David reigned at Hebron for 7 years, then in Jerusalem for 33. God never allowed David to build a temple, but he prepared the way for his son Solomon to build it. More on this edition of Guidelines tomorrow.
You've just heard Dr. Harold Sala with Guidelines, a 5-minute commentary on living. If you would like to listen to the program again, download a copy, subscribe to our e-commentary, or view other resources, visit guidelines.org. We would like to hear from you too. You can email us at info@guidelines.org. That's info@guidelines.org. Thanks for listening, and we invite you to join us again for the next edition of Guidelines.